This interview is brought to you by Burn It Up Coaching and the 21-Day Transformation. So if you have been stuck, struggling, or just hiding out and knowing that you're meant for so much more, your potential, your possibility is so much greater than you're currently operating at, then this 21-day challenge is for you if you are hungry for the intensity, if you're hungry to have a fire ignited within you, lit underneath you to inspire you to achieve more than you've ever achieved before. Because if you want something in the next year, in the next 6 months, in the next 3 months, this program is not for you. But if you want to transform your life in the next 21 days, get the habits integrated, start building those daily rituals, and really accelerate yourself and have someone who's there to catch you when you fall off the track, when you mess up, when you slip up, and have daily check-ins, weekly coaching calls to dig in, to free yourself from the past, to create a crystal clear future and certainty. The goals are just like perfectly aligned with you and who you are. Then the 21-day transformation is for you. And how you can see if you're a good fit for that, because I'm taking 2 people right now for this 21-day transformation, is fill out an application, get a hold of me, send me a message, I'll send you the application, and if you're a fit, then we can set up a call, set up a time to talk about it. If you're not, then I can send you some other resources or in a different direction that would be a better fit for you. So the 21-day transformation, would love to have you join the program. Again, looking for 2 people, and send me a message if that is of interest to you. Next up is the iTunes review of the week, and this is by 17th Try. 17th Try says, I loved this insight. I've heard people say before things like, don't wait until you're ready. You'll never be ready. I loved your twist on that. If you'll never be ready, you'll also never be not ready. Your energy is powerful. I look forward to hearing more episodes of your show. Thank you, 17th Try. I appreciate you. And for anyone else who enjoys the show, loves the show, wants to let us know how we're doing, wants to give us feedback, please do that. And you can do that at beyourgps.com/iTunes. Or you can search iTunes, Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self, and leave us a review there. Or on Facebook, you can search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self as well and find a place to leave us a review there. Now, for the woman of the hour, Cynthia Trevino. Entrepreneurs who urgently want to learn how to speak their perfect client's language, tap into their client's self-talk so they can earn more and have more impact, work with Cynthia Trevino. She's helped companies big and small reach customers, fulfill visions, and make income goals for more than 30 years. Cynthia finds that the biggest client attraction mistakes made by business owners and experts include, number 1, trying to reach a giant target market instead of ideal, perfect clients. 2, failing to share outcomes you help clients achieve when marketing. And 3, not putting a structure in place to attract a steady stream of friends, followers, leads, prospects, and clients. Cynthia is a speaker, marketing mentor, business coach, and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of She Markets, a guide for women entrepreneurs. All right, Cynthia, you ready to rock this?
I am so ready.
She is so ready. Okay, good. We are rocking it now. Cynthia, thank you so much for coming on today to be on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. We're going to dive in, and I think you were checking out Joy's interview the last hour. It was so juicy, and I know this is going to be amazing too, because you have a lot of experience, and I love talking to people with that wisdom, and I think we're all hungry for the wisdom. We're all hungry for what really works in business. And before we get there, let's dive into the topic of the day, which is freedom to choose. So Cynthia, how does this topic of freedom to choose, how does that show up in your life? How has it impacted your business growth? How has it made a difference for you?
Freedom to choose has made a huge difference for me when I finally realized I had it. Because
I have a choice? What?
and it's sort of like I was an instant overnight entrepreneur after being in corporate America for longer than you've probably been alive. So I was in corporate America forever. I had zero entrepreneurial inclinations.
Wow.
I was perfectly happy being in corporate America. And then there was a massive downsizing. I was working for a company in Silicon Valley, and it was just like, okay, well, here I am, right? and so I wasn't ready. I was overweight. I didn't have an interviewing wardrobe. I had my nose in my company that I was working for. So I'm painting the picture. Totally unprepared.
Right.
So I scrambled together when I was downsized, and I got 2 interviews, and I said, yes, I got interviews, and they were for similar jobs in telecom doing product marketing. So I went to the first hiring manager, and he said to me, Cynthia, you're too technical for this job. So I thought, okay, I've been doing this a long time. I took a deep breath, dusted myself off. I went to the second interview 1 week later. And this hiring manager said to me, Cynthia, you're not technical enough for this job.
What?
So my freedom to choose moment, Chris, was as I was driving in the freeway. I live in North County, San Diego, and I was driving to Carlsbad from San Diego. And I'm replaying these guys, opinions of my capabilities in my head. And I thought, I am done with corporate. It was a dime. I had a freedom to choose, was finally right up there saying, why, instead of looking for a job, I can look for clients. I could be a marketing consultant. I know as much as all of these other folks do. So that was my first freedom to choose moment. And I think sometimes freedom of choice has to kind of bang you on the head. Has that happened for you?
Absolutely. When you're not choosing, when you're unconscious to your choices, life will like slap you like, hey, you're not choosing what you already know. You learned this. You get that you're supposed to be choosing here. Make an active decision, not let life passively kick your butt.
Completely. And it's sort of, as I think about this, I think sometimes maybe a lot of your audience of entrepreneurs and business owners, maybe they started in corporate, or they started working for somebody else. And you see a path, and as you get more experience, you get older, you learn more, your path broadens a little bit.
Right.
But it's still, for me, it was still here. And until that moment when I had these 2, off the wall, contradictory evaluations of who I was, I didn't see it this wide, right? Wow. So I think it's freedom to choose can be as wide as we want it to be.
Wow. That's beautiful. What a great start to this interview. Oh my gosh, Cynthia, this is awesome. Awesome. So I agree. I think that it sometimes takes life slapping us in the face or whatever else kind of, impact that it has on us to wake us up to that, hey, there's something that's not quite in alignment here. So thank you for sharing that. And let's dive in a little bit more to what you're doing today in your marketing, teaching people how to convert clients and, just give us the overview of what you got going on.
Sure. So I was a marketing consultant for a long time. And then I realized that I go with a startup or a small business, and we'd get their marketing campaigns going, and you try to keep the business owner in the loop and the small teams and things would go well. But then when I left the project, there was no follow through. And it kind of frustrated me because marketing isn't like everybody's favorite pastime, right? So, and then I also began to notice that a lot of women entrepreneurs who were just gifted, talented, they had so much to offer, and yet they were a best kept secret. Because, for a long list of reasons why they didn't do marketing. They're not an expert in marketing. Marketing makes me feel uncomfortable. Marketing makes me feel salesy. I mean, I don't want to be over promotional. I don't want to toot my own horn, right? So I just started putting it together, and I realized how I had to teach myself how to market myself when I first became an entrepreneur. And I thought, well, I could teach other women entrepreneurs how to do this. So I created a system. I put it in my new book.
Awesome.
Bestseller.
Love it.
And it was like, Oh, and I never thought of myself as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did a bit of teaching in corporate, but it was very lightweight, like, new product launches. But once I started doing this one-on-one, it was so much fun because by teaching women how to get a handle on what's your value, what is it? It's not just your expertise and your experience, right? It's everything about you. It's things you've picked up that aren't directly related to your, unique skills and expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And you bring all of that to clients. So how do you get a handle on all of that and let people know who you are, who you help, and let them self-select? So that was my whole goal for writing the book and for creating a system. So that's why I call myself a marketing mentor, because it's really about just helping entrepreneurs tap into everything that they bring to the table. Because sometimes they forget about that, right?
Right. Yeah, that I think that's the biggest challenge is we overlook what we've already accomplished. We overlook what we can do in our business, and we're constantly looking outside for the answer or jumping from shiny object to shiny object. So I totally get it. So as you were first starting in teaching these women how to market, what were some of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome? What was some of the wisdom that you picked up along the way?
Well, when I started, the challenge was I wanted to just dive in and teach them the mechanics. Like, this is how you create a perfect client profile. Mm-hmm. And it needs to be like at least 7 pages and, all these rules and this is how you do headlines for your blogs. And that was all valuable. Mm-hmm. But what I was leaving out is the marketing mindset. And it's interesting. Joy was talking about writing books, and for me, it took me 2 years to write my book. And it's like, I'm a blogger and I write, for business. I used to write for clients. So content writing is easy for me, but book writing is completely different because as you and Joy were talking, you have to tell your story. You have to dig deep because what's the old adage? Nobody cares about what you know until they know you care. Right? Yeah. So you have to share. It's all about the vulnerability that you two were talking about. It's completely true. So I had to take a step back, and while I had a system that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps in marketing 101, I had to go back and create a step for marketing mindset. And that was a big thing for me because I never viewed myself as sort of that kind of a mentor. I'm all about sort of, this is the business of marketing. If you're in business, you're in marketing and sales, unless you can outsource it, right?
Wow. So I'm curious, when you were going through this process of writing, what was going through your head as you felt like, it took you 2 years. So what was going through your head as you were revising, the different chapters or adding to it or just feeling like it's not enough? I'm assuming like you're like, this isn't quite hitting the mark. Like, what was going through your head as you were writing it?
Yeah, that's a good question. What was going through my head was, let me just get this down. I viewed my book as like one giant blog post, with a few chapters, and this is easy. I'll just put it in. And then I had a wonderful editor, and it's like, just like entrepreneurship, writing a book is a roller coaster because you get through the first draft and you're doing the happy dance. It's done. I'm almost done. Check that box, you send it off to your editor. And then she sends me back a 10-page letter, single-spaced, with feedback, which is all, but at first I go, oh my gosh, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
I don't have to do this book, How many people, only my friends know I'm really writing this book, right? So she pointed out that that book writing is different than blogging because in a book it's a more intimate conversation with the reader, and And I didn't have enough stories in my first draft, so I had to go back. And you were talking about vulnerability. Boy, Chris, I had to dig deep and I told stories in this book that I never published before.
Wow.
So it was like, really? I have to, and also telling stories. I made them anonymous, but telling stories of people that I'd worked with and their breakthroughs, and making it real for the reader. I think that was my biggest aha, because I thought, oh, here's the facts, here's the exercises, right?
Wow. Yeah, that's typically that's where we start. It's like, hey, I just want to convey this information. All they need is the information. All they need is the steps, right? No.
Yes. As I learned, as I'm sure thousands of writers and entrepreneurs have learned before me. So, but it was really life-changing for me. And there's a quote by Seth Godin, master blogger, and one of my favorite Seth Godin quotes is, "The book that will most change your life is a book you will write." So he was right. It changed, because after writing the book and my editor said, well, you should add some things, you should help people get into the mindset, and so I thought about it. And so I not only changed the book, Chris, but I changed my system. And it's a better program now, because I went through and said, okay, here's how you do the mindset, because you have to start there.
Yeah. Wow. Juicy. So Cynthia, let's start diving into more of the mechanics. I would love to know, the steps, the process, the how to. I'm sure you love sharing that stuff too. So let's start diving into more of that, unless there was anything else that you wanted to share along the journey that was like a really pivotal moment for you, and we can go back and dive into there, and after we cover this, whatever works for you.
Okay, well, we can dive into the steps.
Cool.
Yeah. So I teach people 5 steps to get to know your perfect client, because I believe no matter whatever platform you're going to use, social media, you're going to market in person, going to business events, you need to have clarity on what you're offering, who you serve best, who gets the best results from your services, that perfect ideal client. So my steps cover starting with marketing mindset, which is, if you're uncomfortable marketing, you got to remind yourself of 3 things. Number 1, marketing is not about you. Marketing isn't about your services or your products or your company, as much as we all would like to think it is. Marketing is about the people you serve, the clients and customers who get the best results from your services. So don't think about yourself. Think about the people you're going to help. That's number 1. It's not about you. And number 2 is, marketing is education. Marketing isn't promotion. Marketing, unless you're a giant brand with a giant budget.
Right.
Marketing is educating people who don't know about you, what you can do, who you help, and very specifically who you help, and the kinds of outcomes they receive from working with you or using your products and services. And so when you think about educating, you think, what would you tell the person if they were sitting 3 feet across the table from you at coffee, and they were in pain, or they wanted to achieve a giant dream and they needed your expert help? What would you tell them? So it's educating. And the third one is, it's really your obligation to market. It's your obligation, because there are people out there, especially for entrepreneurs who do services. There are people who are going to learn best from you. There are your people, right? We all have our own tribe, right? The people that are going to connect with us. And if your people, your clients are out there, they're struggling, they need your help. They need to connect with someone before they can solve their problem, because there's a ton of people doing a lot of things, which is all good, right? Everybody needs choices, but it's your obligation to make your perfect clients aware so they go, oh, wow, that's what Chris does. I need that. Or, wow, he gets me.
Yeah. Wow. That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. So the 3 steps again were marketing is not about you. It's about the people that you serve. And then 2 is marketing is education. And then the 3 is marketing is your obligation. It's like your obligation to market and educate people.
Yes, it's your obligation to, when you want to be of service, you've got to make sure that
people know.
The people know, the people that you can help the best.
Yeah.
You know, so that helps a lot with the mindset. And I also think it's important if people are struggling, and particularly women have this in general, not everyone, but in general, and a lot of men do too. They want to help everyone, right? When you say who can benefit most from your products and services, what is it a lot of people say that are entrepreneurs? Who can benefit?
Me a couple years ago, a few steps behind me.
Yeah, right. But they also say, well, everyone, right?
Oh yeah, everyone too. Yeah.
Everyone, yeah.
Everyone.
Who can you help? Men between 40 and 60 getting ready to retire. Well, okay, that's still a lot of men.
Yeah.
What if they don't believe that retirement's a priority? What if they don't want to retire? What if they don't want help? You know, so it's getting down to who your specific ideal client is. So I like to think of it as, if you think about target market is like a giant beach ball, okay? It's big. And then a niche market might be the medicine ball that you work out with, right? That's a little smaller. And niche markets are good because you're getting closer. But I like to ask you to think about your perfect ideal client as a diamond in the center. So let's say that a woman's a health coach in Chicago. So her beach ball target market is women between the ages of 45 and 55 who are working women and their moms. Okay. Well, that's a lot of moms and working moms in Chicago. And she says, okay, they're overweight and they're overworked and they're overwhelmed. Okay. That's probably a lot of women in any city in America, right? But it's still the medicine ball. It's still here. Wow. So what's the missing link? So the missing gem in the center is, the diamond in the center is the woman who meets all of those criteria. She's the same age group. She's in Chicago. She's overworked, overweight, overwhelmed. But the difference for our health coach is that her perfect client is motivated to work with a coach. Her perfect client has tried everything there is to try, every cleanse, every exercise, every local workout facility, and nothing's working. The weight comes back on. So she's the woman who's made a decision. I need an expert. I can't do this alone. And she's excited and she's motivated and she shows up excited for her sessions with her health coach. So that's your perfect client.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful because it really excites me to work with that kind of a client, you know, and knowing that someone who's motivated, who's tried everything, but they were probably in this place of apathy, like, oh, that didn't work. But now there's this glimmer of hope. I know that when I work with an expert, when I work with the right fit for me, everything will work out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because in most of, especially if you're offering services, it's a collaboration. You have great programs and you've got experience and you have a system or you have a product, but you need your clients to roll up their sleeves. You need them to be action takers and excited to do the work. So that's the most important thing, I think, from a perfect client is to think about. And I would urge your listeners to think about when you're creating your perfect client, sit down with your favorite beverage. For me, it's a glass of Pinot Noir. I love wine. Coffee, tea, beer. Sit down and replay in your mind your most exciting customer success stories. The clients that got the best results from your work. Those people that just took your products and services and went off the charts. And think about them and capture, what did they say to you? What did they say to you when they talked about their problem? Something like you mentioned, Chris, maybe, okay, I tried this, it didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work. But now I'm ready for fill in the blank. I'm ready to dive back in. I'm ready to set aside my doubts. I'm ready to quiet the fearful Fanny and the doubting David in my head, right? and remember what they said to you. Capture their feelings, their emotions, and that will help you be more, that'll help you narrow down what the motivated collaborative client looks like for you. Because for all of us, our perfect client is going to be just a bit different, right?
Yeah.
So when you go back and relive all of these conversations you had, both at the beginning of you working with them and at the end, or messages they sent you. Maybe they texted you and said, oh my gosh, maybe if you're a relationship coach, oh my gosh, I met the coolest guy. Thank you. You know?
Yeah. So it's like that celebration that they had when they experienced victory. That's a really great point to focus on of, I want more of this. I'm committed to creating more of this with my perfect clients. And here's also the other ingredients that were in there of they were motivated. They showed up on time to their calls. They already had tried different things. So they knew about the industry. I didn't have to, convince them on why they need my services, but they just were looking for the right fit.
Right, exactly. Yes. And for each of us, if we can go back and capture those words, then you can use those words in your marketing content. You can use them in your stories because they're the real words, they're the real emotions that your perfect clients are expressing. And the other benefit of taking a step back and journaling or getting down on your computer, all of the wonderful outcomes is it'll help you not fall into the trap that a lot of experts and entrepreneurs use, and that's using our jargon, right? We're all experts in our industry, and we might use phrases. I certainly did that when I was first a marketing entrepreneur. I would say, oh, I help people do program campaigns, product launches, go-to-market strategies, because those are all the things I used in corporate life, right? And people would just look at me and their eyes would glaze over.
Yeah.
So by capturing what your specific client success stories have described, you'll use less of your expert speak, your jargon, your lingo that's your industry and used in your field, right?
Right. Wow, that's awesome. And I love this, and I'm curious, what if someone hasn't had necessarily a track record of big results and big wins with their clients? What can they do?
So that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. So what they can do is what they might have done in the past, and you find this a lot with entrepreneurs, they're so good at what they do, they probably helped their family or friends in the past to achieve things, right? They've probably been doing something similar to what their work is today, what their business is today with family and friends and acquaintances. So you can draw back on those. What did they tell you? Oh, thank you for that conversation. You helped me see the light about, whatever the problem was. Or I tried this. Thank you for your recommendation. So think about everyone you've helped. It doesn't have to have been an actual paying client. It's just someone that you've helped in the same space that your business is in. And then the other thing you can do is it's okay in the beginning if you're starting out or you're shifting and you're offering new types of services. You can imagine what your perfect client would be saying if you step out of your own head, because I think you mentioned earlier, we help people who are going through things we've been through, right? Yep. So you're no longer your perfect client. I always tell that to the people I work with. You might have been last week, but when it comes to doing, marketing, you're through it. You step out of it. You can remember what it was like, but you want to come from a place of being the mentor, the leader, the expert, right? The teacher, the guidance coach. So you step out of that. You can remember your older feelings, but if you're new and you haven't, think of just ask your friends how you helped them. They'll tell you.
Is there a certain thing that you notice people saying that makes them seem like they're not an expert, or they're not as far as they should be if they're more on the newer side? Is there any kind of framing or anything else like that you've either seen them doing wrong, or anything else that you would recommend that they do instead to really own that power, that they have the experience, they have the confidence, they have the wisdom to be able to succeed?
Right. No, that's a good question about confidence. The one thing that I think is a stumbling block is it starts with the self-introduction, because as an entrepreneur, right, you're always introducing yourself, saying, this is what I do. And too often when someone says, well, what do you do? Oh, somebody might say, well, I'm a CPA. I do taxes, and they list all of these things, taxes and payroll and all of these things that you hear all the time. And they kind of sound like a brochure, right? Because so I think confidence comes from describing who you help and how you help, and saying things that are more specific to that. For instance, for me, because I used to say, when I was a brand new, as I said, I consultant, I would say, oh, I do marketing plans and campaigns and go-to-market strategies and all this boring stuff. And so it took me a while, but I learned. So now I say, I work with women, as you said, women entrepreneurs who want to get a handle on their ideal clients so they can speak their clients' language, bring more of their perfect clients in their business, and have the freedom to do the things they love with the people they love.
Beautiful.
So yeah, just, it's an aspirational story. So if you don't have that, if you just remind yourself, if you've helped one person, if you've helped a friend, if you've helped a family member, you want to, and you want to be of service, that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
And so tell a very short story about how you help and who you help. And that will give you the confidence. And I think it's important to practice your self-introductions also. Don't you?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's critical to have that ability to just have it roll off your tongue, roll out of your mouth, and not think about it. Because if you're thinking about it, most likely you're thinking about getting it right, which creates pressure and stress on you, which people can feel when you're making that introduction and talking about it.
Yes. And practice with your friends. And the other thing we all have on our smartphones, we have video recorders now, or your computer. Just practice it and play it back to yourself and see how you sound.
Yep.
Once you get used to that, it's just more comforting, because and it doesn't have to be exactly right every time. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but you'll get into the rhythm.
Yeah.
And you can and you can connect with people, because they'll go, oh, and here's the other thing. If someone goes, meh, not for me, that's fine, right? Because you're saving their time, they're saving your time.
That's right.
At the networking event, you can go off and talk to somebody else. It's all good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. It's about finding the right fit. It's not personal. It's not, anything else. It's just like, hey, when you have that specific, clear language of who your perfect client is, you're able to easily convey it because you've practiced it, because you know it. And people who are fit are I don't want to say a dying fit, but like a loyal fit. Like, yes, this is me. You're speaking to my language, my heart. That's me. That's me. What do I do next? How do I take the next step with you? I think that's the response that we're all hungry for and excited to get. But if we have a generic, watered down, I'm a coach, I'm an entrepreneur coach, I'm a business coach, it's like just really not nearly as powerful.
I agree. Because it's, as you said, there's more of those, like a tell me more moment, right?
Yes.
Tell me more. That's what we're all looking for.
Yes.
And so that's, and I think confidence gets built up by reminding yourself of everything that you've accomplished up to now, all your experiences.
Yes.
And so that's where I take my students through an exercise, and it's really it's so basic, but it helps people. And I do it for myself. Do you ever sit down and inventory all your experiences, all your skills?
I've done that, not regularly. I've done it, I think, 2 or 3 times in the last couple of years, but not regularly.
Yeah, but it's a good exercise.
Yeah.
Just to get down everything and remind yourself of everything you bring to the table,
Right.
because it'll shore up your confidence. You go, that's right, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I did that, and I did that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sometimes we got to be our own best cheerleader, right?
We have to. Nobody's going to do it for us. I mean, we might surround ourselves with people who help us and encourage us and mentor us, coach us, all that good stuff. And I personally believe that we have 100% personal responsibility for our results, for our actions, for our what we get in life. And I think that is so important to see that and see what fills us up. In this exercise that you're talking about taking an inventory of all the accomplishments, all the awards, all the accolades, all the steps forward that were big steps forward that were important to you. It's really critical. I love it.
Exactly. And even your experiences, even if they were as you guys were talking, the tough experiences,
Yes.
the one where you just felt like you were slogging through mud, and you were in mud up to your knees, and it felt like it was going to go on for years. And then you get to the other side, and you get through that. But those experiences can help your clients, because you can call on them and you can say, well, I had that experience and it wasn't easy, but here's how I worked through it, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. So as far as creating and attracting and converting that perfect client, is there anything else that we need to know?
See, we talked about confidence, and we talked about getting clear on who your perfect client is. The other couple of steps are, one is to really tap into their urgent problems. And these are not just I need to lose weight, for a health coach, or I need to get, my systems in my business. There's no systems. I'm working every night till 8 p.m. I'm missing all my kids' soccer games. Those are problems. But the key there is, I'm missing my kids' soccer games, or the key, because maybe a woman wants to get fit because she wants to, wear those jeans she got 3 years ago that are her favorite jeans that make her feel sensational. So it's like, it's identifying their biggest, most urgent problems, and then going underneath. What are their emotional drivers? Why do they want to look fabulous again? Do they want to meet their soulmate? Do they want to go up for a promotion and get a better job, and it's what's all behind all of that. So really dig deep for your perfect client, and after you list the everyday problems that you help them, sort of the tactical things that you help them solve, then document, get down on paper so you can get it clear in your mind. What's their why? What's the emotional drivers behind the problem they want to solve, or the goal they want to achieve, whatever you help them do.
Right. Wow. That's beautiful. So I really hear getting into the mind, like the deep, deep psychology, the layers of the layers of the layers of the onion to the core reason why they do what they do. Like you said, they're kids, so they can go to their kids' soccer game. And I think so many people are just winging their process of marketing. And they're just like, I think I know who this client is. I think I have it down. But what you're saying right now, Cynthia, is so important. And even I know I need to work on this stuff and get even deeper. So I totally be vulnerable and say that, because it's important to have that clarity. And I love that you're sharing this. This is super, super important.
Your perfect client is going to evolve as you get more expert. And I recommend that, it's something you keep documented, whether you keep it in a file folder on your computer or a binder.
Yeah.
And I've talked to really successful entrepreneurs who have anywhere from 7 pages describing their perfect client to 25 pages.
Yes.
So somebody says, well, I'm not a writer. Well, you don't have to write, because your perfect client story, description, profile, call it whatever you want. It's yours.
Yeah.
Nobody sees it.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you pull out when you're getting ready to create content. And the other thing is, not only is your marketing better because you know who you're talking to and you know what's behind their reasons for problem solving or fulfilling a dream.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, you're going to know their why, you're going to know all of that. And then you're every time you have a fabulous engagement, a project, you work with someone, you go back and you tweak it and you add to it, right? And so it's just gently evolves, because then you can add in, well, the clients I work with are able to, spend more time with their kids or take the entire family to Fiji for a week or whatever their idea is for spending time doing stuff they love with people they love.
That's juicy. I love it. I love the like picturing the binder. And something else I heard is to create a picture of your perfect client. Like, go on Google or whatever it is, Facebook, look around Facebook for your perfect client, who that person would be. I think it's have that visual representation and slap it on the cover of your folder. So every time you look at that folder, you see who that perfect client is, and you like literally start building this emotional connection and energetic connection, really. Like you could going into like some physics and quantum physics and stuff about attracting this person, because you see that person, you can like look into their eyes, and you could see that behind those eyes are the pain of not being able to go to their kid's soccer game or whatever else it might be. And I think that's so important to have that connection, that deep connection to your perfect client.
Exactly. And once you have your perfect client down, your programs and your services, you're going to mold them to that person. You're going to make better decisions for just about everything in your business. Wow. When you know who your perfect client is. And I agree with you, pulling down a picture and giving them a name.
Yes.
Yes. Like maybe it's maybe you're a speech coach, maybe it's Keynote Kelly, or maybe if you're in finance, maybe it's Home Loan Harry. Come up with a catchy name, because you might have 2 or 3. So that way it's Home Loan Harry that you're creating content for today, or Marathon Mary, or just come up with a code name for them so that you remind yourself. And some people keep the photo or the binder right next to them when they're creating content. Yeah. So that, remember, when you're creating anything, remember they're sitting across the table from you. Wow. You're talking to the one.
Wow. That's amazing. What were some other big business lessons or lessons that you learned, pieces of wisdom that you picked up along your journey of growing to where we are today?
I learned a lot as a consultant. A couple of times I learned that you have to change with the times. And I worked with clients who were very traditional, and they felt like marketing was taking out a print ad. And this is a time when social media was coming up. And it was, after like countless conversations, and there were 2 partners, and one of them said, you've got to convince one of them really got it about online marketing and social media. And he said, you've got to convince my partner. And it was super hard to convince. And after, at a certain point, when someone's entrenched, you can't have a conversation. They would mention things and it wouldn't work. So what I had to do was go and find social proof.
Yes.
I found, even the fledgling, we had just started their social media, the fledgling interactions we were getting on Twitter and on Facebook. I said, look at this. And when you're working with print ads, you don't know about that. So it's probably, I think most people understand that you have to be online. If you're not online and people can't Google you, it's really hard to be in business unless you've got a terrific referral network, right? So, but I think the lesson is, for each person, if you have to have them overcome resistance, each person that you're serving, it's going to be slightly different for each person.
Totally.
And just look at them, and you have to take a step back and say, okay, what is it going to take because they're this close, right? Sometimes you just need to nudge them before they're all in, right? So yeah, I've learned to, everybody's different, and find the proof that you need, find the backup that you need so that person jumps in and they're all in.
Beautiful. I'm curious, what do you think are the trends of marketing? How do you see it evolving in the coming years?
More of the, Facebook and Instagram now doing video. So just what you're doing here, Chris, live video is everything. Live video is everything. I heard a quote from one of the Facebook executives saying that they're projecting that when it comes to stories on Facebook and other live Facebook videos, that more Facebook users in the next few years are going to consume stories and videos, and they're not going to stay in their newsfeed.
Wow.
Yeah, so that would be a big flip. So yes, live video. And I think the other trend is storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's, we all need to learn that a story, 3 things about a story: it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Did you have to practice storytelling when you first became an entrepreneur? Or have you always been good? Some people are just gifted at storytelling.
No, I definitely had to practice. I went to Toastmasters, so I practiced some storytelling there, and I've always known that it's like to convey a point, stories sell. And actually, I started with network marketing, so they were all about preach your own story, tell your own story. That's what has the most authenticity and relevancy to get someone involved. So I'm not in it anymore, but like I just really got that implanted into me that when someone shares their story, that's what moves an audience.
Exactly. Yeah. I just think everything is going to be about videos and about storytelling. And I think that I also think that with so many different platforms, and that entrepreneurs, especially if they have if they're a team of one or they have a tiny team, they should really focus and look at where are their perfect audience, their perfect clients, where are they really active and engaged. And if they're not on every platform, you don't have to be on every platform. That's one of the conventional wisdoms that kind of make me crazy about the marketing industry. Well, set up your profiles on all the social media platforms. Does that make you crazy too?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's just an excuse to overwhelm these business owners and entrepreneurs so that they think that they have to buy a whole like big old marketing team or firm or whatever it might be to execute their marketing. And like you said, I think with the right guidance, you can focus on 1 or 2 specific channels to really hammer down on and produce great content for, native content. And even like there's Facebook, but Facebook has stories, Facebook has text, Facebook has videos. So it's like no matter where you go now, it seems like you're still going to have to use all the modalities and different types of content.
Yes, you are. And it's just all of us getting used to just being on camera and being in the moment and being responsive, and nothing like a live broadcast to teach you how to do that, right?
That's right. I was like, throw myself into the fire. Let's go. That's what and same thing in Toastmasters though. And maybe we can apply this to this, but in Toastmasters, I joined in I think 2 months in, I said, how can I probably when I just joined, I think I joined in October, and then the elections for the next term were probably like a couple weeks or something like that later. And I said, I want to be the secretary. I want to do something that is interesting. So I started taking notes, and then I became the vice president education. So basically, managing the club. Then I became the president, and it's only because I raised my hand and I said I want to do more. So I would say, wrapping this around, take on leadership positions, especially in organizations where your target client hangs out. Where do they hang out? What are their communities? What are their groups? And then see how you can get an inside access to an authority position to get more connected, get deeper connected, have better access to these people by volunteering, by contacting the people who are in charge, or doing whatever you can to get more access to these organizations, because that'll build your authority, and people will want to respect you, talk to you, build relationships with you more.
Exactly. It's completely true. Yes. Because it is all about community. And as much as we love doing things online, we still need to do those in-person things, right?
Yep.
We need to find the groups where our ideal clients hang out. So
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Awesome. So Cynthia, wrapping up, final pieces of wisdom, or, just to recap our interview, what does our audience need to know?
Don't be afraid to get really clear and declare, and freedom to choose is our theme today, right? Mm-hmm. Choose your perfect client. And a lot of times people say, but Cynthia, I'll miss out on business. Well, you're the boss, right? Whoever comes to you, you can decide whether to take them or not on as a client or a customer. But when you're very specific about who you want to attract, you're going to pull in other people who will say, oh my gosh, because you're so passionate about who this person is that you serve, right? It's infectious. So don't worry about losing out on business. You won't, because it is counterintuitive, but focusing on the one somehow brings a lot of other people in, Right. Have you had that experience?
Absolutely. And I can cite this from another person who's actually, has huge influence, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's usually always talking to people who are like 20 to 29 years old, right? Like that kind of millennial age gap or age range, and he's talking to them, and he makes a side note for people who are outside of that, but mainly it's like hammering in on, you have your 20s, talking about these young entrepreneurs who have dreams and ambitions and hopes, who tap into him, who listen to him. And I think that's so true, that speak to your target, your perfect client, and then everyone who resonates with the message or parts of it or your passion will gravitate towards you.
They will. Yeah. It just speak to the one, and remember that they're across the table from you, and focus in, and just know that your message is so important. Your message matters, and you don't have to be a marketing expert. You only have to be passionate about what you do, and just know your perfect client better than anybody else knows them. Just know them like your family.
Yep.
And keep building your description, your book, your journal, whatever works for you, and go back and review it, and just envision that person and talk to them, and they'll find you. They'll self-select, right? Because they'll go, oh my gosh, he's speaking to me.
I love it. So, Cynthia, how can we get in contact with you? How can a listener or viewer right now stay connected with you, and continue their journey with you?
Absolutely. That would be great. Well, they could go to Amazon and check out my new book. It's She Markets, a guide for women entrepreneurs. And my website is She Markets Mentor, shemarketsmentor.com. And I have a blog there where I share a lot of lessons and give the steps to getting clear on your ideal client. And I talk a lot about marketing mindset also, so they can connect with me there. Awesome. And I'm on LinkedIn, Cynthia Trevino. I'm on LinkedIn too. I like LinkedIn too.
LinkedIn's awesome. It's a great place for B2B and for coaches, marketers, consultants. Great place. I definitely am underutilizing it. But Cynthia, you are incredible, and thank you so much for coming on today, talking about that perfect client as we get more effective at really creating our reality, choosing powerfully who we're going to go after. And remember, if you're listening right now, you can always refine, you can evolve, you can test and find out what works. So give the specificity a shot. Find out who resonates with it and take action, revise, all that good stuff. Definitely stay connected with Cynthia because she's awesome and has great insight and conversations about marketing and being someone who kicks butt and take names. So Cynthia, thank you so much for being on here. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Chris. I loved it. Thank you so much. Bye.
Awesome. We'll see you soon.